When I retired from the army, I thought I was done. I thought the battles, the orders, the sleepless nights were behind me. But you don't just walk away from 25 years in the service. Sometimes the battlefield follows you home. I wasn't looking for Elkhorn. I was looking for the kind of place that didn't make the news. After 25 years in the U.S. Army, 10 of those in special operations, I wanted quiet. No more convoys through dusty roads. No more foreign hotel rooms with blackout curtains. No more staring at a satellite phone waiting for orders to drop. Elkhorn, Wyoming, population just over 2,000 looked like the answer. A town so small you could walk from one end to the other in 10 minutes. One blinking stoplight, one diner, one hardware store. When I first drove down Main Street, I saw the kind of America people make postcards about. A flag snapping in the wind outside the post office, kids riding bikes without helmets, the smell of fresh bread drifting from the bakery. For the first time in years, I thought maybe, just maybe, I could put the uniform away for good. The hardware store caught my eye. Havorson's Hardware, painted in faded red letters on a sign that had seen more than a few Wyoming winters. The windows were cluttered with display items, rakes, garden hoses, a chainsaw that looked older than me. Inside, it smelled of cedar shavings and motor oil. The wood floor creaked under my boots. The shelves were lined with glass jars full of screws, bolts, nails, all labeled in neat handwriting. Arthur Havorson, the owner, was a man in his late 70s, with a jaw like a brick and hands like weathered rope. He looked me over and said, "You looking to buy something?" "Yeah," I told him. "The place?" He laughed, thinking I was joking. I wasn't. 3 months later, Havorson was retired in Arizona, and I was the new owner of Elkhorn Hardware. My mornings started at 7:45 with the sound of the old key turning in the front door. By 7:50, the coffee was brewing. By 8 o'clock, Earl the rancher would stroll in for duct tape and a pack of nails every single day without fail. Afternoons were quiet. I'd stock shelves, do small repairs for locals, and sip coffee behind the counter. The store became my fortress of normalcy. I told myself I'd left the soldier behind. But the truth, old habits don't die, they wait. I still clocked every unfamiliar vehicle that drove past, still kept track of exits and cover points without thinking, still read people's body language before they opened their mouths. That's when he walked in. Mid-40s, maybe 50. Lean build, short hair grown out just enough to pass for civilian, but the fade was still military sharp. His jacket was plain, his boots unremarkable, but the way he moved screamed training. His eyes didn't wander like a casual shopper's, they swept. He was mapping the room. He picked up a 16-ounce claw hammer from the shelf and brought it to the counter. Paid in cash. As I counted the change, he slid something across the counter, just a folded piece of paper tucked under his palm. His voice was low. "Take care, Unit 13. I froze. Unit 13 wasn't some random nickname. It was my call sign during Operation Iron Veil in Kabul 2011. Only 4 people knew it, 3 were dead, that left one. I looked up, but he was gone, no sound of a door chime. No glimpse through the window, just gone. I locked the door, flipped the back in 5 sign, and unfolded the paper. "The package is in play, watch the freight shipment." No signature, no date, just those words. I checked the delivery log. One new shipment had arrived that morning from Rocky Mountain Supply Co. I'd never ordered from them. The pallet was still in the stockroom, wrapped in plastic. I sliced it open with my box cutter. The first box held steel brackets and bolts, ordinary stuff. But beneath that, cushioned in foam, was a matte black case. No markings, no serial number. The kind of military-grade Pelican case that can survive a war zone. I clicked it open. Inside sat a NATO-issue secure communications module, active, humming softly. Sheriff Duncan wouldn't know what to do with this. Elkhorn's most pressing law enforcement problem was usually teenagers toilet papering the school. So I dug through an old notebook until I found a number I hadn't called in over a decade. My co's direct line at Fort Bragg. He picked up on the second ring. "Baker. You better not be calling about fishing." "It's not fishing, sir, I've got a situation." Silence for a beat. "Then you sure you want to open this door again?" "Sir, the door's already open." By sundown, 2 black SUVs with government plates rolled down Main Street. They didn't stop at the sheriff's office. They stopped at my store. 3 men got out. Civilian clothes, but everything about them screamed military background, posture, awareness, the way they scanned without turning their heads. The lead, a tall man with salt and pepper hair, stepped forward. "Baker," he said, not asking but confirming. I nodded. He didn't introduce himself, but I caught the faint outline of a sidearm under his jacket. He looked at the device. Where'd it come from? Freight delivery, I said. Looks like someone's using small-town supply chains as drop points. His eyes narrowed slightly, partly in respect, partly in calculation. Then they'll be coming for it. They didn't take the device. Instead, they set up in my back office. A surveillance van rolled in behind the store, cables running through the stockroom window. Their plan was simple. Let the package sit, see who tried to claim it, and follow them up the chain. The lead, Parker, was direct. You keep the store open, act normal, we'll be in the back. I knew the drill. I'd been part of Baytandwatch ops before. They were never as simple as they sounded. That night, the store didn't close at 6. The bell above the door jingled one last time as my final customer left, and I slid the deadbolt shut. Outside, Main Street emptied, just a few trucks heading home, the glow from the Rusty Spur Diner's neon sign cutting through the autumn dusk. In the back office, Parker and his team worked in near silence. Laptops hummed. One agent monitored the comms device, another scanned a feed from a camera they'd mounted in the front corner of the store. Parker sat across from me. You're going to see some faces in the next 48 hours. Some will be curious, some will be hostile. You'll need to play dumb until we make the move. I leaned back in the chair. After 25 years, you think I don't know how to keep my mouth shut? A ghost of a smile crossed his face. That's why we're here. By midnight, Elkhorn was silent. The kind of silence you only get in small towns, no sirens, no traffic, just the occasional groan of the wind through the eaves. I lay on the old army cot in my office, staring at the ceiling. The smell of motor oil and cedar was so familiar it was almost comforting, but my mind wouldn't rest. Every sound outside felt amplified, the distant bark of a dog, the low hum of the surveillance van's generator. At 2:07 a.m., the device beeped. Not loud, just a single tone like a heart monitor skipping a beat. One of the agents glanced at Parker. Encrypted handshake ping, someone's checking it. They didn't respond, couldn't risk alerting the other end that the package was under surveillance. But the message was clear, whoever put it here knows it's still live. By morning, word was out. Earl came in for his daily duct tape, leaning over the counter with a conspiratorial grin. Baker, I saw a couple of black SUVs parked near your store last night. You finally getting into politics? I kept my voice casual. Just some suppliers from Denver, business meeting, he squinted. At midnight, different time zones, I said with a shrug. By the time Linda from the school board came in for a can of paint, the story had already morphed. So, I heard you're working with the FBI now, she said, smiling like it was half-joke, half-truth. Small towns don't need facts to build a story, they just need a seed. At 11:23 a.m. I noticed him, late 30s, wiry build, clean Carhartt jacket. His jeans were new, his boots were scuffed, but not the way a rancher's would be. These weren't worn from daily work, they were worn from travel. He lingered by the gardening tools, odd for late October in Wyoming. His eyes kept darting toward the convex mirror that gave a view into the stockroom. When he finally came to the counter with a small pack of screws, I rang him up. You working on something? I asked casually. He gave me a tight smile, something like that. Then he was gone, Parker's voice in my ear, mark him could be recon. I was back on the cot by 11 o'clock p.m., but sleep didn't come. Around midnight, the woman appeared. Not in the store, but on the camera feed, walking past, then back again. Leather jacket, hair tied in a tight bun, city confidence in a small town street. The second time she passed, she slowed by the window looking in. Not long enough to be suspicious to the untrained eye, but I knew better. She was measuring distances, counting steps. Parker studied the feed. She's casing, bet she comes in tomorrow. She showed up at 10:04 am sharp. Stepped through the door like she'd been here before, no browsing, straight to the counter. I'm here to pick up a shipment, she said. Under Thompson, my stomach tightened. That's not the name on the manifest. She tilted her head, eyes scanning mine like she was testing for a bluff. Then she smiled, thin, controlled. Must have been a mix-up. And just like that she left, Parker's voice in my ear. Let her go, she'll be back when she's ready to make the grab. By the second night, the waiting was wearing on me. Soldiers are trained for action, not sitting still. Every sound outside felt like the start of something. Every shadow looked like it was moving. Around midnight, Parker brought 2 mugs of coffee and sat across from me. You know why we didn't pull you out of this, right? I nodded. Because they picked my store on purpose. He didn't answer, but the silence said everything. Friday morning in Elkhorn should have felt like any other, but it didn't. The air was still, too still. The kind of quiet before a Wyoming snowstorm when even the animals seemed to vanish. I was behind the counter pretending to check invoices, but my eyes kept drifting to the window. At 10:17 a.m., a dark blue Chevy Suburban rolled onto Main Street. Tinted windows, slow cruise. Passed the store once, twice, then parked across the street, nose pointed right at me. The passenger door opened. The woman in the leather jacket stepped out, same sharp eyes, but the casual charm was gone. Behind her, two men followed. Both moved with the economy of motion that screamed trained. They weren't just hired muscle, these were operators. Parker's voice buzzed in my ear. "They're here, keep them calm until we make the move." The bell above the door chimed as they stepped inside. They didn't browse. They split, one man near the door, control position. The woman headed toward the back, eyes locked on the shipment. The other man walked to the counter. He leaned in, voice low. "We're here for our order." I kept my face blank. "You're gonna have to be more specific." From the back, the woman called out, "It's right here." She had the black comms case in her hands like it already belonged to her. I stepped around the counter, slow and steady. "That's not for you." Her smile was almost pitying. "You sure about that?" Her weight shifted, subtle, but I knew the move. She was ready to draw. Parker's voice snapped in my ear. "Go." From behind the paint aisle, two agents emerged, low, fast. Another came in from the loading dock. The man at the front reached for his waistband, but I was already moving. I closed the distance in 3 steps, grabbed his wrist, twisted hard. The pistol dropped and skidded under the shelf. The woman spun toward the rear exit, but Parker cut her off, slamming her against the counter. Her elbow shot back toward his ribs. He blocked and locked her arm, snapping cuffs on in one smooth motion. The second man lunged for the front door, met by another agent's shoulder, dropping him to the floor. 15 seconds. Done. While they cuffed the suspects and moved them out, the Suburban's driver stepped out. Long coat, gray creeping into his beard, and a smile I hadn't seen in 12 years. "Elias," I said. He grinned like we were meeting for coffee. "Baker." Still quick on the draw. "You sent the note." "Had to, couldn't trust anyone else to keep it safe." "You could have told me. And give you a chance to say no?" He shook his head. "Didn't think so." The SUVs were gone within an hour. No paperwork, no questions, just Parker at the doorway giving me a look that was part gratitude, part warning. "You did good, Baker, but you never saw us." I locked the door behind them. The store felt smaller, quieter. Like it knew something it shouldn't. That night, I sat on my porch with a mug of coffee. The stars above Wyoming are the same ones I'd looked up at in Kabul, in Baghdad, in places I'll never be able to name. I'd built this life to get away from the battlefield. But the truth, the battlefield doesn't care where you hide, and when it comes knocking, part of you is almost glad. Because once you've been a soldier, you'll always be a soldier. And somewhere out there, another package is already in play.